Okay, well, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for working with us, having to reschedule this from yesterday to our MotorTraxx and MaxxTraxx number 2 in our 4-part webinar series. And today we're going to be covering writing repair orders and how to restock parts tickets, which are pretty much your 2 of the 3 main data entry processes that you have to do every day. So what I really wanted to cover today, and again, speaking from experience, I did this the hard way without a user manual and without any really one-on-one training, and frankly, maybe 3 days worth of prepping ahead of time in a practice, not actually a practice version, but just on a live version. I want to share with you some of the major differences I found between being a MotorTraxx user and coming over into MaxxTraxx. Because I started using MotorTraxx back in 1992, so I'm kind of familiar with what you guys were doing. So the first thing I wanted to show is to open up an RO and show you the main difference. Of course, you guys might have seen this if you've had a chance to look at our demo, is that we have this reason for service line, RFS or VP, reason for service of vehicle problem. So this is definitely a huge change from MotorTraxx because we just had a parts and labor in MotorTraxx. And there's a lot of different reasons why you came to this. You know, it's really the format that the dealers have been using for about the last 20 years. And a couple of things we've found with it, and there's definitely different ways that shops use this feature, but in the reason for service line, this is actually where you collect all of your customers' information. Customer comes in, says, my car is overheating, and I know that personally actually had a handwritten check-in sheet, and I would just ask a person. So if your vehicle's overheating, when does it start? Is it after you've been driving for a while? Did it go into the red? Did you have antifreeze coming out on the ground? Did the check engine light come in? So what you're doing is you're in this request for service field. You're gathering, because this is the lead-in text, customer states, which, by the way, you guys can customize. Let me just play with this a little bit. I'll show you the difference. You can customize that, and then you just put in their whole story, everything. They may say, you might want to say customer states that they had an overheating problem, but they're looking to sell this car. And, of course, isn't that always the famous line that people give you? They're looking to sell this car, so they're not looking to spend a lot of money or whatever that may be. So then my workflow is after I had this reason for service, then actually most of the time what I would have is I would add a labor code here. Let's see if I have it on my list. I just do diagnostic time. I just about always would put diagnostic time for whatever the problem was and just play with my times here. But again, this is all very, very personal and how you guys want to customize it for your shop. But then here you get to put in what you did. Maybe inspect the engine, perform a compression test, scope the engine with an analyzer, report results from the inspection. So this is everything that you can personalize. You might also say, pulled codes. It's been a while, so like P0107 or whatever they are. And this is in the labor field where you would put what you did. And again, I put this under diagnostic time. Some people choose in this labor service field to put everything. They might also put, replaced spark plugs and 1 coil pack left side. I don't know. You guys know I'm not a technician, but so you can put in as much as you want, and then of course change this as much as you want. Oops, I really don't want to do this, by the way, is a spell check right here, guys. And then you can change your hours around here all you want. So with that said, first thing I wanted to do was throw that out there. The different structure, reason for service, and then your labors. And of course you can move these labors up if you want to reorder them. Okay, I want to pull this one down. So with that being said, you'll also notice with the reason for service line highlighted, you can't add a part or a sublet. Now the reason why is we've structured it so that under a reason for service you can only have your labors and you have to attach your parts to the particular labors. So as you can see as I expand this button for the labor, here we have our parts. So you'll notice, though, when I highlight, when I go from a reason for service line to a labor line, you see these just lit up. So that's because that's the structure of our program for a myriad of reasons. One of the reasons is a SQL database, and that's the way we structure our data. The other way is that when you actually preview your RO, let's look at it down here. I'm going to click on Preview Repair Order button in the lower left. You will see in this format that, see, remember I changed that customer states and I added the word that and a colon. Oh, looks like I have 2 colons here. But you can see there's your customer talking, and here would be their notes. And then here underneath is your labor services. And then they're divided by a line here. Each line has a labor service and then any associated parts with that labor service divided by a line. So it's because we've come up with this structure that you can't just add parts to a reason for service, because we structure the information under here. Now, a couple of issues that I found in the very beginning. What if I do a sublet? And I think, well, shoot, maybe my reason for service was they just towed it in and I need to throw a tow bill on there. I can't. So what we have to do is we actually have to add a labor. I don't wonder if I added one in here yet. I did. I just call it sublet labor. Of course, it's 0, no charge. And then on that, you'll see once I highlight my sublet labor line, I can add a sublet for my tow bill. Okay? So I just wanted to bring that. I know for me, that was kind of an interesting one in the very beginning. I'm like, wow, how does that all work? Oh, return date. I have a feature turned on here. Estimated return date. Let me just throw something in here real quick. I'll make it same day. Okay, so I want to really go step by step by step today. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going over how to start a repair order and that kind of thing. You guys can grab that out of the training videos online. And I'll show you actually where those are and the ones I recommend you looking at first. But with this so far, any questions on that? This is a huge difference. Anybody have any questions on that different format from MotorTraxx? Okay. You know, at first I wasn't sure. I also have shops. I love this. Let me start a new one. Get out of here for a moment. You know what? I have some shops that, like, you know, I don't like this feature. It's okay. I'm just going to leave it always on the default, the reason for service, and I'm going to add my labors, and I'm always going to do freeform labor service. Now, honestly, this does make the hair stand up on my arms because I think it's crazy. But, you know, everybody does this a little bit different. What I do recommend, though, if you're switching from MotorTraxx to MaxxTraxx and you've been in the habit of writing freeform labor service a lot, I would really say...
Muted.
Okay, you know what, guys? It's like everybody's been muted on this call. Hold on a minute. Hey, Mark, I just unmuted you. Rex, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going through and unmuting. Everybody somehow got muted on the call. Sorry, guys. Okay. So like I was saying, just on the freeform labor, I strongly recommend that you guys really start building that database up. You know that when you convert your data over from MaxxTraxx or from MotorTraxx, when you click on Add Labors and you hit Labor from Service List, you can see I've got this generic labor list that comes up with every new installation. But you have the ability to, well, actually, your labor codes come over and it populates this. And you have the ability at this point to delete these or edit these. You can just hit the Edit button and let's say tire repair, click Edit. You can change this let's say reinstall. You edit these as much as you want. And just so you know, if you use these master labor buttons, this is either to add, edit, or delete. This is the master record on the program. You know, I would recommend you guys creating a list, and even though people tell me all the time, you know, I customize every single labor I do, that's okay. At least get started with this. Let's say, for example, I do a transmission inspection, and then I hit the select button. Now in here, if I change on this sales detail information screen, and you'll notice there's one for labor and one for parts. We'll talk about this a little bit later on in detail. You have the ability to add as much as you want. Here I can say found codes, P1170 and, P017, I don't know, whatever numbers, tested, current, I don't know, whatever you guys want to put. So this is just for this repair order. So if I save it here, oops, my spell check's still on, it only saves it for this repair order. So those are, again, some of the fundamental differences, especially because you have the ability to very, very easily just double-click on this and add your notes. I would say get in the habit of really going back to trying to build up your labor codes list, your labor services list, because it reduces your data entry. Any questions? Yeah.
So I'm going to toss a couple things in here since when I made the shift from MotorTraxx to MaxxTraxx in 2008, it was quite a deal for me. And what ultimately helped me was a couple of shifts in perspective, and this was one of them. So really what these labor codes became to me were labor-only kits. And so if you write them as labor-only kits and you think of them as labor-only kits, they search the exact same way. And once I made that shift, then I began to see a lot more value where I had all of my labor codes in my head and how I was going to use them in MotorTraxx. Once I accepted this as being a labor description, being a labor-only kit, it became a lot more friendly to me. And so I want to toss that in there because it really was a big shift for me. It seems obvious now, but then it was a huge shift.
Okay.
The other thing as far as the requested service, again, that was a huge shift for me, probably the biggest shift in the whole program. And once Mark explained to me, this is the CCC concept that the dealers are using. Customer has a complaint, there's a cause, and there's a correction, and that's the underlying logic. Again, once I accepted that and internalized that, and that made good sense to me, I stopped fighting the system so hard. So those were two huge shifts for me.
Right. Appreciate that. Appreciate that feedback. And I agree with you too. Once you get that in your brain, and I do actually have a one-page write-up in the user manual on underwriting repair orders that talks about that CCC, that says why do we do it that way, and I think it's called a repair order overview, and it gives you kind of a long explanation. It's just 2 written pages, and after working with Mark and Rex, having already used MaxxTraxx, really understanding what was in their mind when these guys designed this, because this is a fundamental difference from MotorTraxx. And I'm first one to say that I wanted a darn Windows version of MotorTraxx, and that was it. And I can hear Rhonda telling me over and over again, Sabrina, honestly, it's the MotorTraxx users that give us so much problems. It really is. And yes, she did tell me that nobody has ever called in as much as you do. And now that I've been in tech support for the last 2 years, I actually have to agree with her. But I think what I was really trying to do, guys, is I was trying to get everything out of the system right away. And that's just my nature. And I am not one to go in and feel comfortable pushing buttons because I'm afraid to break it. So actually, let me back up and share with you guys. We have had some people that got a practice version installed this past week. And I do, again, strongly recommend you doing that so you can go in and see what your converted data looks like, play with it a little. And we always say a good rule of thumb is just to keep running your business with MotorTraxx, but just 1 repair order a day. If you can just recreate 1 repair order a day in your practice version of MaxxTraxx, it's really going to start, without having the pressure, certainly the pressure of a customer standing in front of you or having to get a repair order, an invoice completed by the end of the day. It's going to give you an idea on how the structure works, what it's going to take, and all the different features involved. I think you might have noticed as I'm going along here, first of all, I always turn my spell checker off. But there's so many features that you can turn on or off, and certainly don't expect you guys to figure this all out in the beginning. But in a practice version, again, you know what, some people call me up, and when I started doing one-on-one training, I'd be all, you know, guys, just trust me on this one. I'm going to go through your setup, and I'll show you this here in just a minute. I'm going to go through your setups and go through repair order and parts invoice setup, because this is a little undaunting, and I'll just buzz through and set all this up for you. And I do this in about 2 minutes. And I set up all these features the way that I wanted them set up. But this is really how this setup section and this one, setups, this workstation, miscellaneous, printing and miscellaneous. These are where you find out about all the really, really important features that you have the option, not that you have to, but you have the option to use. And in my opinion, this is where a lot of the power
telephone line 3
in the workflow of MaxxTraxx comes along. So I just wanted to share that with you. A few things right here. You can see, warn me if I have parts on an RO that needs to be ordered. That's a feature that I turn on and off. Warn me if I have parts that have been ordered that haven't been put on an RO.
Could I ask you to repeat that part over again, what you were saying about the workstations? Because somebody, I guess their, I don't know, their loudspeaker went on and you kind of broke your thought, and I didn't get really the flow of what you were saying.
Okay.
You were saying
you know, Rosemary, you have the ability, okay, there's a difference between this setup, repair order, and parts invoices. This is the big monolith of all our different features. This is where you can set up really how to write your ROs. But you have an option at the workstation level. So I'm going back down to setups and going to workstation under miscellaneous. You have some options to turn features on and off. And right here, warn me if I have parts on the RO that need to be ordered. In fact, I'm going to talk about these two. I'm going to get out and show them to you right now, because this right here is the #1 fastest way to reduce your data entry. And the other one is, warn me if I have parts that have been ordered and received, but I haven't actually put on my RO yet. And how many times have you guys done that? And I'm shameless. I will call up a customer a week later and say, you know what? Yeah, I forgot to charge you for that that gasket set. So, you know, whatever, those head gasket sets. And this is a way to make sure you bill everything out for your customer. So let me show you that real quick. So in an RO, you can see, as we were in this one before, if I were to add a part, so all I'm doing is slow down a bit. It defaults to reason for service. Now I want to add a part, so I have to click on a labor, and now I can click Add Part. And I'm just going to grab a part from my part list that I know I don't have in inventory. Okay. We'll do camshaft seal. Okay, I'm going to say 1. See, it's a warning. I have this, you know, I have this turned on. This is a feature I have turned on, guys. You have not entered a cost for this part. Are you sure you want to continuing without adding a cost? Yes, for right now I do. And you'll notice every feature I have turned on in the system is because I do accounting, and it's very, very important to me that the accounting is kept correct. So you'll see when I click OK, Save, and Exit, and notice, thank you so much, guys, for putting this feature on last year, this red circle and a slash through it, that means that I don't have this part in stock. And why do I care so much about that? Because I track my inventory and I track my accounting. And only by having this part restocked in MaxxTraxx before I bill it out, this would be like the check mark in the short sold column in MotorTraxx. This is telling me, hey, Sabrina, you need to, you know, put it on your, or you need to actually enter the part into stock and check it out. When I click OK, Save, and I hit Save Only.
Hi, is Brandon?
Yes.
Are you waiting for somebody?
No. Did you have a question?
Oh, I didn't. Is this for the webinar? Sorry, I answered the wrong line.
Oh, no problem. Yeah.
Hang on.
Sure. Okay, guys. So you'll see this notice came up. The following parts on your repair order are not in stock and need to be ordered. Again, this is a feature I turn on. And tag the parts you want to order, then press the Next button. Now, this is where I'm telling you, you will save yourself 60% of your restock parts ticket data entry. Now, what I did at about 9:20 a.m., January 2nd, 2008, is I hit this little checkbox. Because this kept, I'm like, what the heck is this? what is this? I can't deal with this. So I click this box and it says, don't show me this form again. So I did that, and yes, I'll be honest, I did not discover this feature until mid-March. So I went 2.5 months with never realizing I had this ability. So now when I click on this and I go click OK Save, it goes away. Okay? Huge feature, guys. I could kick myself for not learning that, number one. So you'll notice my training videos go extensively into that feature. But number two, the ability is to go back into setups, this workstation, and turn that puppy back on. See, it says warn me if I have parts on the RO that need to be ordered. Yeah. Okay? So now when I go back in here, I don't know if it'll work with this one since I got out of it once. It may or may not. It does. Okay. So I'm going to run through this feature real quick. Let me see who that is. Hang on one quick sec, guys.
Yeah, you just have to hurry, though. All right. Bye.
Hang on a sec, guys. Okay. So now on this feature, you just click in the order column. And again, something I struggled a little bit with, it's not like a checkbox. It's just an order column. And there's a lot of these columns in MaxxTraxx that look like, I don't really, because what I would do is I'd say, I want to order this. I don't know how to order it. Once you check in the column, you'll see the green check mark. So this is something you'll notice in a lot of different parts of the program that it's not that obvious. It wasn't for me. But again, you guys know I'm not a very technical person. So clicking in that order column now, ungrays this. It makes it active. So now I just click on next. I want to order it. I can choose another vendor. I could order it from Worldpac or I'm going to choose somebody else. Napa, they're right around the corner. Click select or hit, I usually just hit enter or double click. This says I have an open parts order already for Napa. It actually was started July 7th, and here's a purchase order number. Do you want to add it to an existing order or create a new one? And I would always just typically create a new one, or you could add it. So the important things with these features, guys, is if you ever see anything in this kind of, what is this, magenta Rex? It's like a bright pink. Read this stuff. If you just read this the first time, which again is the beauty of the practice version because you're not under pressure, this is where you learn about all the different features that you have available to you. So we create a new parts order, and this is our parts order form. Now, you can give it a PO. I usually don't, I'll be honest. But what's a little bit different about this parts order form than perhaps you might have been doing workflow in MotorTraxx is we typically, let's say we're ordering something from Napa, and it was going to go on 3 different ROs. Frankly, I would tell my guys, okay, for one parts invoice, put these parts on, and create another parts invoice for these parts so that I could keep things straight. Then I knew that this ticket was for this, for that Ford pickup, this ticket was for that Mercedes. But what we have the ability in this feature, in this parts order form feature, is actually, because I did this from the RO that I was just in, the system already knows that this camshaft seal is going to go for the vehicle I was just in. So let's do this. I want to show you real quick. I'm going to click OK, Save as Open PO. And that was for the Chevy Monte Carlo, okay? So if I go into the Ford and I add another part from the parts list that I know I don't have in stock, I'm just, for fun, going to put a test part on here. And I don't have in stock. Again, my red circle flashed through it. I hit OK, Save, Exit, and get my pink screen. I call it my pink screen. And I'm going to order this. Click Next. And again, I'm ordering this one. I want to order it from Napa again because I want to show you something. So yeah, Napa. Now remember, this is my open parts order. I'm going to add it to this parts order. Yeah, that's fine. I just click Next. So now I have a camshaft seal and a test part. Okay, something I want to show you too. I'm going to say, remember, on my Ford, I just ordered one test part. So let's say before I actually send through this parts order to Napa, you know what, I want to stock some of those test parts. I'm going to click number 4, as my quantity, okay? So I'm going to click OK, because this will show you the other feature. and I'll get here. Remember that checkbox? Remember on that workstation setup? So now I'm going to click OK, Save. Oh, by the way, so if this was a real deal, and I'll be honest, I don't know exactly whose Napa account I'm using right now, but if I were to click on this Send Order button right now, it actually would go through, and it would say your order has been sent successfully or something like that. But this is how you do online ordering. Very cool. Again, I did this. I ordered with Worldpack because I kind of was a Worldpack junkie anyway before I used MaxxTraxx. But I didn't realize you could set this up for everybody. So I use it for Napa. We use it for CarQuest. We use it for our AC Delco Motorcraft dealer, which was factory motor parts. Used them for years, in Worldpack. So I'll tell you, we got down to about probably 80% of all of our parts were being ordered online. So a couple things, how that really makes a difference in your shop. Number one, you're ordering your parts right away. Let's be honest, how many times does your parts guy screw up and send you the wrong thing? So what's kind of nice about ordering online is it kind of forces you to know exactly the year, make, model, and engine. You guys following me a little bit? I don't know how many you guys are using the online parts ordering directly from the vendor's website like Worldpack or factory. But that's, you know, some benefits to it, plus the reduction in data entry. I'm going to show you that right now. So I click OK, Save, and open this. So now when Napa comes walking in 30 minutes later, he's like, hey, guys, thanks so much. I go back to order parts, and I'll be honest, guys, I always went to restock parts because I'm thinking, okay, in my head, I'm not going to order parts. I'm going to restock that Napa ticket that just came in. Well, I would go into restock parts and go, no Napa ticket. And yes, I would recreate it. And then eventually, one day, like 2 weeks later, I click on my order parts button, and this thing was full. So a couple little tricks, little mistakes that I made. So now I just go into my Napa parts. I did it, it's dated today, 8/12. I'm just going to click this button here that says Convert my selected parts order into a received vendor invoice. So when I do that, this is a target amount. This is to double check your data entry. Enter the amount of the paper vendor invoice you're going to duplicate in MaxxTraxx. This is telling you, hey guys, look down on your piece of paper. Make sure it still says 16 bucks. It does. And click OK. It just double checks your math. Oh, look at that camshaft seal, by the way, I had in my inventory at no cost. We'll leave that. But two things I want to show you here really quick. This camshaft seal, if I were to double click on this line or click Edit Line Item, either one, or actually just hit the Enter key, which I'm just going to hit right now. Oh, actually, this one I do have to double click. This is already reserved for that Monte Carlo on RO 10,090, okay? And this test part, when I double click on it, is already reserved for 10,085. That's the pickup. That's the Ford. Okay, so I just wanted to remind you of that. So you can see, all I actually have to do, you could fill in your vendor invoice right now, but I would just click OK, Save, and Post and Update, and just put in my vendor invoice number. So I don't have to retype any of those parts in. I don't have to retype, especially, you know, these long numbers from Worldpack. So it really just reduces your data entry. If, for example, one of these were not on here and I deleted this part because Napa didn't deliver it, it goes back to that purchase order and is still waiting for the second invoice for the, you know, air quotes, bar or back ordered part. So a lot of information right here, but I wanted to hit this, and I'm going to cover the daily sales and cash flow report because these are the fundamental differences between MaxxTraxx and MotorTraxx. Now this is one more notice, and this is, again, another feature you can turn on and off. The following parts were not found on this repair order that they were ordered for. Please go back to that repair order and add the part. Now remember, I ordered one test part for that Ford, and now it's saying I actually have 3 more because remember I was going to put some in inventory. Now you can print this list or just exit because when I go back into that RO, guess what sign I get again? Was it? Oh, and it's not this one. It's this one. It's Ford. I get the same warning again. So actually I don't print out the paper because that's a lot of paper. But it says the following parts were not ordered for this repair order, or were ordered for it, but you haven't put it on. More test parts. So I know in my mind that this was for stocking. But let's say I did order some more parts. on the fly while I was writing that purchase order, and I didn't do it through the RO. You have the ability to highlight a labor and click Add Parts, and you have this option here, Add a part from Parts on Order. Because remember, I ordered, here are those 3 more parts. Check it out. There it is. Again, another one of those columns that, to be honest, for me was not obvious, so I just click in that Select column, or you just keep going OK, and you think, that didn't order anything. What did I do wrong? So I can't tell you how many times I did that before I realized, oh, click in the column, Sabrina. So now I click OK, and it changes it, or actually it adds those parts. It doesn't know that it's a different part number. So that's a little bit about the workflow. Again, the reason for service is different. Your labor codes come across. And again, guys, I really emphasize, like Walter mentioned, creating these as kind of a kit, a starting point, and then just working from it from there, and then adding parts. And you guys got to see how we do online parts ordering. Okay? I've thrown a lot at you. Any questions at this part? At this part in the webinar? Okay.
Can you go through it just one real quick, beginning to end? Just go through the flow. Would you mind?
New customer? New customer?
No, adding a part.
Adding a part. Okay, so highlight the labor. Click on Add Parts. You know, let me just briefly go over the differences here. This is my parts list. This is the AllData CD. If you guys subscribe to AllData online only, you have to ask AllData to mail you their quarterly Service Advisor CD, but this is sweet. And all these are all the other ones are online or an imported catalog, which you guys can. I do have a training. Actually, I don't have a training video on that, but I do have a write-up on how to import catalog data, which we talked a little bit about last time. Buy out quick part. I'm not going to go into details because that's a whole other can of worms. Part placeholder. This is if you need to write an estimate and you don't have the part numbers. I mean, if you're getting a part from a dealer, you're not going to have the part numbers, and you're certainly not going to say to your dealer parts counter guy, hey, dude, can you read me that, 16-digit part number? You're probably not going to do it. So you can always put a placeholder in and replace it once you get that part, get the accurate stock part. Yeah.
On your part from your CD and part from NAPA and stuff, can you add in any vendors you want to put in there, or is that just come with
yes. What's interesting is that if you get a part from MaxxTraxx, this could be parts, let's see, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Rex. Let me just throw them all in a bucket. Either MaxxTraxx or IAP are the 2 online parts ordering interfaces for, I don't know, I think we have a list of about 100 parts houses now, maybe more than that. Factory Motor Parts, City Parts, Pacific Auto Parts, Parts Plus, all the O'Reillys, CSK, I mean, it goes on and on and on. So NAPA has their proprietary one, and of course everybody knows WorldPac has their proprietary one. Everybody else, pretty much, CarQuest, handful of CarQuests in the country use MaxxTraxx, the rest of them all use IAP. AutoZone, I'm trying to think, there is a slew of them. So keep in mind, guys, if you ask your parts supplier, do you guys use online parts ordering with IAP or MaxxTraxx? And let's be honest, a handful of times your sales guy's going to go, huh? I have no idea what you're talking about. So call the store and ask them, who do you guys use for your online parts ordering? And usually it's going to be one or the other. MaxxTraxx, which used to be called Wrenchhead, just so you guys have that in your back pocket. MaxxTraxx by Wrenchhead or IAP. Does that answer that question a little bit? So this is a bunch of different vendors. So real quick, we also have parts from order, which is the one that I just showed you, and then parts from vehicle history. Very cool feature. I'll be honest, I didn't use it as much as I should have, or parts from quotes for this vehicle, which I did use a lot. But vehicle history is, if you've ever worked on a 2000 Ford F350 before, I could go look and see, if I did timing belt on that, I can see, what was all included last time. Well, how much labor did I charge? And that would be in the vehicle history. And the parts from quotes is if this vehicle had any quotes, which I don't think it does, here they would actually have these listed. I would just click again in the select column and add it, but I don't have any on this one. Any more? Let me see. Let me just show you all the way through. Parts from parts list. I can search by part number, description, SKU, or size if it's a tire, or like nuts and bolts, or SKU if you guys are using barcode. And then I would just select it. Let's say I'll do a brake disc. I'm just going to double click. And here's my sales detail information just like I had for labor. Now, I can change my description all I want. I could add hazardous materials fee. And by the way, you can put that in the part record. Let's say for every oil filter you guys sell, you're going to charge $1 hazardous material fee. Tire disposal fee, let's say you have to do a tire disposal. These are all of these. All three of these are customized. You can do whatever you want. But these are add-on charges at the item level. For every time you put this part on, you're going to have these additional part charges. We'll see what they look like in a minute. I can discount my parts here. And if I discount it here, it'll show. If I just change the price, change the regular price, a discount will not show. But one of the coolest features on here is that you have the ability to see what's your profit margin on these parts. And if you click on this button, you'll see how much you paid for it, how much you're selling it for. Boy, wouldn't that be nice? And that's your profit margin. So, and this will turn red if you fall below your preset profit margins. Again, don't want to get too deep into this, guys, but I want to just give you a kind of quick overview of the features. And by the way, if you check this box to make this a warranty discount, no, I don't want to remove those. It actually will track this. It'll be zero to your customer, but this will track on your financials under an expense for warranty. Very good way to see how much is coming back if you guys are having a lot of comebacks. So I'm going to go ahead and click add another part, and this will just take me right back to my parts list, and I could add another part. And then when I'm done, I click OK. How was that, Walter? Any questions?
No, that explains that. Are you at some point in time going to go through the online ordering, or are we going to do that on another day?
You know, I want to go over that another day because that's a little more in depth. What I wanted to go over was mostly the fundamental differences between MotorTraxx and MaxxTraxx in regards to repair order writing and restock parts tickets. And that had a lot to do with, guys, using that feature. Now let me show you real quick. See, again, I added that oil filter. It's prompted me to order it. But at this moment, I'm just going to exit without ordering. So now the other, okay, so restock parts. This is your other main data entry you do every day. You create repair orders and you post them off. That's how you get payments in. You enter and restock parts tickets, which are all of the parts you buy, which manages your inventory and your cost of goods. And then, of course, your third major data entry is writing checks, which we're going to talk about next week. But under restock parts ticket, every single time you get a parts ticket, sometimes 5, 15 a day, click on input receive vendor invoice. Let's say it was factory motor parts. And here's my target. Because remember this screen came up before, but let's say I didn't order it online or I didn't put it on my RO first. It's going to say, okay, add a line item. So either I'm going to add from parts list, I can autofill from any part that's out there with the red circle and flash through it will show up here. See those oil filter I just put on. I can click in the order column. Again, another one of those columns that doesn't look too obvious. I click OK. It adds to my list. Or I could just do add from parts list. And if it's not on my parts list, I have to click on add a part and add that part to my inventory. So honestly, if you guys do online parts ordering, it automatically creates a part record for you. And if you have it set up that way, it throws it on your parts list. Again, can you see how you're really, really, really reducing your data entry? That we had no way of doing this in MotorTraxx. And, you know, I could do 222 enter in my, I could enter a parts ticket in MotorTraxx with my eyes closed because you had to do so darn many of them. So this is a nice feature that just reduces it. But if you have to do it the old-fashioned way, you just click on add a part and you start the add a part wizard. I don't want to go through this, again, a lot more information than I want to show you today. But that's how you would, I'm going to hit clear search, how I get my list back. Let's say I'm going to add a radiator. So again, this is a sales detail information window. It says I received one. It cost me, you know, $175, and the other really cool feature, and then I'm going to be done with restocking parts tickets and writing repair orders. And by the way, cores would show up only if it had a core, guys. Is again, if you click right here, I can reserve this item for a particular repair order. If I click this button and I click select, it's going to show me all of my open ROs. By the way, stepping back a little bit to the second email I sent you guys from last week, the cleaning up open parts invoices in MotorTraxx, and the only way that it affects MaxxTraxx if you guys don't do that cleanup procedure is when you click this reserve item for repair order and you click select. I had MotorTraxx users that had hundreds of ROs in here, some of them backed up to the mid-90s. So that's why I want you to clear that database out before we do your final MotorTraxx conversion. Because there's no way you're going to sort through this list. That would just, I don't know, I just want to do it. It's too much. But here I can say, oh, yeah, this radiator I just got, I got it for this Toyota. I'm going to put on Toyota. See, it's automatically going to reserve it for this RO. You guys might remember that. Let's say I click OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and post and update my inventory. And, I put in that starting amount. Remember, I didn't know how much this was going to be. It was a practice. I just put a target of 10. I can just say post vendor invoice anyway. It's just double-checking your math. And, again, your bookkeepers will love you for this feature. So, okay, I'm putting my fake number. So I'm getting one more warning. Remember, here's that radiator. Go back to this RO number 10,084 and put this on. So remember, I go back to the Toyota. And it's telling me, put this on, Sabrina. I'm like, okay, I got it. I open it up. I find the labor. Let's say this is my labor. I click on Add Parts, and from Parts on Order. I tag and select, and there it is. So I've just showed you two of the greatest features that if you learn to use them and don't accidentally turn off those features, they are fabulous and great time savers, major differences from MotorTraxx. You know what, now that I thought about this, I'm really going to go over the daily sales and cash drawer report next week when we talk more about accounting. But the one thing that, a fundamental difference that I mentioned briefly last week that's so important to realize is that there is no daily book. You don't batch. You don't batch at the end of the day all your data. As soon as I am good with this RO, and this all looks pretty to me, I'm going to hit OK, save, and pay. Just ignore this. This is a warning. I shouldn't say ignore it, but I'm going to ignore it for the practice. You just have parts without a cost. It just says, remember, cost is 0 for the camshaft seal. I'm actually selling it for 0, so it doesn't matter either. But it's just warning you. If you want to keep your book straight, fix your costs, Sabrina. So I could go back and change it, but I'm going to post just to move on. And these are all items here, starting mileage, ending mileage, assigning my technicians, my sources. I have every feature turned on. You can turn all these features off, but they're really great to get in the habit of. I'm just skipping them now just for the example. And look at all these warnings. You have laborers on this RO that don't have technicians. Do you want to go back? No, I'm okay. And again, you've not entered a mileage out. Skip it. Now, a lot of warnings, I know people are going, oh my gosh, look at all those warnings. You can turn them all off. But the fact of the matter is if you're just following the standard workflow through the day, those warnings don't come up unless you miss them. This is just demo material, so I'm buzzing through them. Then I'm just going to click on my method of payment. Let's say he paid with a MasterCard, apply my payment, and finish. Now and by the way, really quick, some marketing features. This asks for a new appointment. And if he had any recommended services, I could say, yeah, we're going to schedule that brake job in 3 months. So let's say I want to create an appointment for this customer. I say yes. And I'm going to date it. I'm going to date this August. Let's say he comes back in November. And I click next. And it's a request, and it's just for an oil change. So that's good. So that, just so you know, that's going to create an appointment 3 months from now. And also marketing letters. Do I want to send a marketing letter to this guy? Right here, I click on Add Letters or Postcards. I can either send him a postcard for that recommended service or that oil change, or I want to just send him a thank you. Let's say I sent him an oil change because I scheduled it. Let's send him a letter too. Click on LOF, click on Select, And I can say after mileage, because remember it tracks average mileages for you guys. I'm just going to say after 60 days. That's good enough for this example. So that's done. So what's just happened here, and we'll talk about this extensively next week, but we have just taken all those parts out of inventory. We have just posted that money as received. We've posted it to sales. We've taken money out of inventory, parts inventory, and moved it to cost of goods. Whereas in MotorTraxx, at the end of the day, when you post your daily book, that's when everything posts. But everything is in real time in MaxxTraxx. And what's kind of cool about that is, let's say, darn it, that guy paid with a Discover. I just go back in a cash drawer, view my current cash drawer transactions. Here it is. And I'm just going to void it. And down here you can see MasterCard payment. And it says if you void this, it's going to void the repair order and put it back on the schedule. Do you want to do it? Yes. So I just close, see, it says void. And then I hit cancel. And then it's not here yet. What do? Hit refresh. And there it is in completed status. I don't know about you guys, but you know, how many times have you messed that up in MotorTraxx and you couldn't fix it? It's just awesome. And there are two non-negotiables. If you void a repair order, it's gone forever. If you post a restock parts invoice to the wrong vendor for the wrong amount, something like that, you actually have to write a credit to get it, you know, to back it out and then redo it to the correct vendor or for the correct amount. Pretty much everything else you see in this whole program, you can just void and redo. I mean, how sweet is that? So now I go back into complete, and I can get all my warnings again, and I can close and pay, but this time I'm going to say, oops, not that one, close and pay. I'm going to post with current costs. I know I'm being a sinner. I know I don't have technicians, and I don't have a mileage out, but I'm going to pay with Discover. Now that is pretty cool. And I've already done, of course, my scheduling my appointments and my letter. Nothing changes there. That does not get voided, just the payment type. So now I have, under banking, in my bank deposit, I have this guy's Discover. I just posted it today, 8/12. So we're going to go into all that next week. It's very, very important. But those are some of the fundamental differences between the two programs. Quiet group today, but some good questions. Do you guys have any questions?
Sabrina, hi, this is Keith. The part placeholder, can you just briefly run through that? Because I can see that being used quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, I use it a ton. It is sweet. Okay.
And just how everything catches up with it.
Yeah, so let's say oil filter. Okay, this is a great one. Add labor from service list, and I'll put my OC, my oil change. Oh, you know what, I'm going to do LOF. And we're going to go into the difference between menu and flat rate. You know what, I don't have time to go into that, but I got some great videos on that, guys. I'm going to, in the follow-up email, by the way, I'm going to send you some links to some writing repair order training videos I'd recommend. So what I do, Keith, is I put on my labor. Okay, so I charge $4.10 for an oil change, and then I highlight this and I add part. Now I may know my oil, so I'm going to put my oil in there. And you don't have to. I'm just saying, for example, 5 quarts. It jumps to quantity automatically. It's sweet. So I just click OK, and then I click Add Parts and click on Part Placeholder. I don't know what filter I'm going to get, but let's say it's Typing Wizard here. I don't know. It's going to be $6.95. So I click OK. I know I don't have a cost. It's a placeholder. Okay, so you see there's no part number here, okay? Now I actually have my system set up to tell me that I have to replace a replace a part holder before I cancel. Let's see if this works. If I go to pay it, okay, it'll tell me right here, Sabrina, you have a placeholder on this RO that has not been replaced yet. Would you like to do a manager override, which I always allow overrides, or go back and replace it? I'm going to go back. So all you do, Keith, is you highlight it, right-click, and replace this part holder with a part from inventory. So this takes me right back to my parts list. Or it can take me to one of my online parts ordering. Let's do that real quick, just for fun. Let's go to the next part. I'm going to do factory. And it takes just a minute. This already knows that I'm working on a 2000 Chevy Monte Carlo. See, it already knows that. I'm just going to click on filters, filters, oil filter, display parts. So this is online ordering, guys. You're right. I'm right now on Factory Motor Parts website. So I'm going to get a Delco filter, click the Add button, click Order Review, and then you'll notice this lights up, Add Selected Items to RO. So I just add it to my RO. So it tells me, Sabrina, which would you like to use? Your part placeholder says $6.95, but according to your part price matrix, you would charge $10.17. So I can either use my placeholder price at $6.95, and again, I might have already given my customer a copy of this estimate. I might just have to eat it, or I can override it, use my inventory price, or heck, I can do a custom price. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just say use placeholder price. So it's going to now sell it for $6.95. Am I getting my profit margin? Not exactly, because it's in the red. But you know, it's an oil change. You guys all know they're loss leaders. What do you got to do? So click OK, and there you go. So that's how that part placeholder feature is used. If you didn't use accounting and you didn't track your inventory, you could just leave it as a part placeholder. But I think pretty much from looking at our group, there's not a person on this call that wouldn't want to at least track their inventory. And then most of you guys do track your accounting. So that's a little bit about how that works. Did that help answer questions?
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Good. Yeah, sure. Great feature. And we do also have some great videos also that talk about the kits, because kits often have part placeholders. Like, for example, I have an LOF or oil change generic. And you'll notice in this kit, I have a part placeholder in the kit. So I may add this to my RO, but see, it's going to tell me, Sabrina, you are still going to have to, in this generic kit, you're going to have to replace this part with an actual part number. Good question. Excellent, Keith. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me of that. And as I mentioned, guys, everything that I'm going over here, everything is on our website under our training videos. When we get more into the accounting stuff, I don't actually have training videos on all that yet, but of course the daily sales and cash drawer reconciliation, we have a great training video for that. Pretty much all the essential ones that you need to do on a daily basis under pressure. I call them under pressure, whereas, you know, paying your WorldPack bill, you can always open up the user manual if you needed more instructions. But anything that you have to do under pressure with a customer standing in front of you, we do have training videos ready to rock and roll for you guys. So hope this was helpful, guys. Like I said, next week we're going to be going over a little bit more about the daily sales and then diving into a few more details about the different accounting features. And the one thing that we're going to do on number 4, week number 4, is we're going to be going over the setups. We're going to be going over this list of repair order and parts invoices and this workstation setup. We're going to be going over every single feature in week number 4. And I'll share with you guys how I use it, why I use it, how you can use it differently. But we're going to actually go over this setup. And the other thing I want to throw in there, I'm going to tell you right now, company information is pretty self-explanatory. And God bless Rhonda. She usually sets it up for you. But I want to go into the parts price matrix on the 4th week. I'm not going to do it during accounting next week. We have too much to cover. But the parts price matrix here, the way that I have set up, this is what turns my dots in my repair orders red or green. Because remember, we saw here on, let's add up, let me grab one. I already have something on, guys. Let's do this one. Okay, if I were to click on this part, see my profit monitor is green. It's because it's meeting my profitability threshold. Let's say I sell this part for $10 instead. And I hit tab. See, it turned it red. Because I must have, it's probably a 60% threshold if I were to guess, because that's how it priced it. But that's another really, really key feature, and I think, again, these profit monitors at the part level, we also, of course, have it at the labor level, but more importantly, we have it at the RO level. These profit monitors give you a chance right before you finish that out to say, you know what, either you're making money or you're not making money on this job. And you guys know, sometimes you just got to eat it. But this at least gives you an opportunity before this is gone. You don't have to wait to the end of the day when you're looking at your ROs. you don't have to put all this trust in the hands of your service writers. Frankly, for some shops, you don't have to wait till the end of the month to see if you've been selling service profitably. You get an opportunity right here to make a change. So this profit monitor works as you're creating your repair order, writing up your estimate. So it lets you know all along the process whether or not you guys are profitable. Now, if I click on this, it brings up my labor. So it tells me my profitability on my labor is 36%. My profitability on my parts, 68%. Again, that'd be sweet. And then this is just saying my overall is 44%. So that we're going to talk a little bit as well in the week 4, the setup. So I really encourage you guys to take a look at that. So great questions today. I really, really appreciate everybody's feedback. So we're right about at the hour mark. Did we have any other questions? You know, Linda, I've had you on mute here for a little bit, and Bill, I just realized you've been on mute too. So I just
I've been trying to ask a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Bill. What question do you have?
Quick question on the when you add a part to an RO, and you said you can change the description. Just pick any one of those. If you change that description, okay, go ahead.
Let me go ahead and do the test part. Okay.
Okay. Now, if you change that description, is it only changed for that RO, but not as a system-wide change?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Very excellent question. So now remember, this is part number 888. So I just changed it here. Okay, this is a special part. So now if I go ahead and click OK, now let's say I go back to my parts list and I click on Add Parts, go to Parts List, and go to 888. You see, it still just says Test Parts.
Okay.
Now what's important is that let's say
to the team that are playing, he had to walk across the diamond.
I can't hear you now. Somebody's talking in the back.
Yeah, hold on a minute. John.
He was in a Cubs uniform.
Got it. Sorry about that, guys. So I don't unmute him, Rex. So what I can do, let's say, you know, I sell this part all the time, and I don't want to call it a test part anymore. So right before I double-click on it or click Select to add it to my RO, if I were to click on Edit instead, these are your master record buttons. So if I click on Edit here, I'm going to call it a test part in 2010, just for fun. So now it's permanently on my list. It's permanently changed. So now if I double-click, hit Enter, or click the Select button, all three do the same. I'm going to click Select. When, of course, it's going to be on my RO. Do I want to add it anyway? Yes. But you'll
now
notice
when you get this screen, and anything that you change on this screen is only done on the repair order level.
Exactly. Only at the repair order level. And where that is more important, of course, I think, than parts is really in the labor. Same thing. In the labor, anything I type in here, this is where I put usually all my different findings. And I love to write. You know, if I'm going to hand somebody, especially if I didn't do the work, if I'm going to hand somebody a $6,000 bill, you know, I better have a lot of writing. That's my theory. And so I always get, you know, whoever I'm working with, if I'm a service writer or if I'm working with service writers, tell me everything. I want everything that you want, that you did in here. And you know, a lot of people also put things in here like, you know, inspected brakes, and then put like fronts, and then they leave this blank /32 and rear, or whatever, front, plural, /32. Whoops. So they, you know, this may be in your master record, so that when you actually do open this up, you get to just fill in, well, they got 7 up front, and they got 3 in the back, for example. So you can do a lot of the what I call the pre-typing up here, and then when you add it to the RO, that's when you fill it in or put in your more customizable stuff. And Walter, was that kind of what you were thinking about, is kind of putting a kit in your mind?
Yeah, it basically is a labor kit. So if you write it with as needed and phrases like that, then you can just either drop a couple of things out or add a couple of things in, so you don't have to, you know, if a particular labor, a timing belt's going to have a lot of different parts, you could either create a kit using placeholders, or you just do your labor description, and it's a labor kit, and then you just have to add your parts.
Yeah, let me put, I thought we wrote a fun one up for the cooling system inspection. I don't know if I rewrote it when I, okay. See, this is the standard one. This is how it came. Inspect cooling system for possible damage. You know, in our shop, we had a book, you know, a pressure test cooling system, check for leaks, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, you may not do that on every job, but just like Walter said, with a timing belt, you may say replace camshaft seals, replace crankshaft seal, replace, idlers and pull, or whatever. And it's easier to have everything loaded in here. And then if, let's say, you ended up not having to replace a pulley or whatever, you could just back that little bit out. But, you know, kind of two things. It's kind of helpful, number one, if you have a more novice service writer, which I put myself in that category, number one. And number two, don't forget that these print technician worksheets, so under options, print technician worksheets, you know, if you have a lot in this description, not that you want these guys to have to be reading to learn how to do these kinds of things, but, you know, if you have a C-Tech, and you might want to actually, you know, put more stuff in here that he's going to read that he knows he needs to do. It's just a thought there. You know, it's kind of more of a philosophy. Can I show you guys one really, really quick feature? I'm going to click on checklist down here because I'm a big checklist fiend. This checklist, I have add checklist. Hopefully I have some good ones in here. Let's see. 15-point inspection. I'll click on select. Look at these cool checklists. You can build as many of these as you want. They're really cool. And we actually worked at a shop, this last stint before Scott Systems, where we did an inspection for just about every vehicle that ever came in that door, because that's how we found work and made money. So just wanted to show you a really cool feature. You come, I think, in fact, I don't know if we even have any of these preloaded. I think we're going to talk to Rex and Mark about maybe preloading a couple of these. But these are handy, and they print out real nice for your customer, number one, and they stay attached to this repair order. Let's see if I added it. They stay attached to this repair order forever. And once you've marked it completed, and you can say, you know, good, 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 not so good. As you do all this, you can, let's say, you know, whatever it be. It's torn bottle. Let's see, bottle is broken. You know, this prints out for your customer, so it's kind of cool. Let's say you mark completed because it's done. And if you ever come back to it, you can always see your notes. So these are kind of sweet. You can go back and, you know, 6 months ago we did a 15-point or 30-point or 100-point inspection on that vehicle. You know, if you do all that work, don't you want it in a handy place to be able to reference it so, frankly, you don't do it all again? Or, you know, it's just handy. I just want to show you that one feature. It's also one of my favorites.
Sabrina, this is Bill again. Real quick, just another question I had a while back. When you ordered parts, and there was a box that you could hit select to select it on an RO, can you select multiple ROs? You know, choose one, and then hit select again, choose another RO, and I guess
same. Okay, keep on.
Does that, can then I see all those various ROs that it's selected? Because the box was only big enough for one, looked like one number.
One purchase order, one repair order number?
Yeah. Do you
So
remember
let's
that
say,
section?
Yeah, I do. Now let's
here real quick. The way you'd have to do it, so if you bought 4 oil filters, you do BMW, bought 4 oil filters on a ticket, and you want to assign them to 3 different tickets, that's what you're talking about, right?
Correct. There was a box kind of in the middle that she hit select.
The way you
would
have
all the ROs.
the way you would have to do that is you'd have to enter the part in 3 different times, singular quantity.
Yeah, because you're right, Bill. This only lets you choose one. So I would just choose one. Let's say it's going to go in that Toyota. And then let's say I just had to click add another, and I just add the same thing again. And I could just put it on another. Let's say I'm going to put it on the Ford. So I've got actually the same part number on here twice, but it's actually going to 2 different ROs. So yes, if you wanted these parts to go to 2 different ROs, you'd have to reselect it again. Even let's say I'm ordering 3 of them, but they're all going on different vehicles. I'll just do a 3rd one, and this would go to the Honda. So now
you changed the quantity that you ordered from 1 to 3 because you said, okay, I'm going to use 1 on an RO, and then 2 would be for stock. Now, in the meantime, before you receive those other 2, or let's say you received all 3, you have another RO that you want to now earmark one of those 2 extras for. So you would say, okay, I have a total of 3 on order, 1's reserved, 2 are still available. Well, now I'm going to reserve another one.
Right.
So how would you see?
Let's take a look at this. Excellent question. I'm so glad you're asking. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK.
You had me unmuted before.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So let me just let me save it. Let me see if I just save it. I'm not posting it yet. Let me see if I go into this one and just throw something on here. First thing that's on the list. Good enough. And then I just click on Add Part. Same thing. Same. What was that? 1-1. Okay. Oil filter kit. So when I went to actually add it a third time, let's say, like you said, I've got 1 ordered, and I have a couple more coming in. See, it would show actually that I have 3 in stock. So when I actually selected this,
well, it was 1 for that you didn't have anything in stock. So you said, okay, I need 1 for this RO, and then I'm going to order an additional 2 for stock.
Right. So if I ordered those additional 2 for stock and I saved it,
you have and you have not received the product yet.
But I have not received the product. It still says 3 on order. So let's look. If I click OK, will it be negative? No, because it says it's got
So, Sabrina, I would just go back to the purchase order and reassign one of the parts that was going to stock to that other repair order.
That's what I was asking, if you can do that.
You sure can. You sure can. Let me go back into restock parts. So it's right here. Yeah, I could just reopen it. Oh, you know, I had it go into another RO. If it said stock, I just say, you know what, before I post that, put it on that. Actually, that Monte Carlo's incomplete status, that's why it's not coming, or an appointment status, that's why it's not coming in that. But yeah, Bill, that's exactly what you do.
And now, on this screen here, though, that doesn't show me how many I have on order, because it just says quantity received 1.
You know what?
Where would I see?
Quantity on order. I guess it doesn't. You know what? Theoretically, though, we ask.
You would see it on the PO screen. You just have to look at the 3 that are there on that.
I didn't see the screen.
I'm in
the one right behind it. Right. So cancel this window right there, and see you just got it on there 3 times. So you would have there's your overall order. Is that what you're saying, Bill?
Well, I'm saying 1 line item. Oil filter kit is quantity. Okay, I guess this is when you're receiving
it. Yeah, currently no.
But I'm not receiving it. I have not received them.
Right,
okay. Yeah, these aren't on order
yet. Yeah, these are all 3 on order right here. Now, if you went in to look at how many are on order, you could actually see that from the part itself. Sabrina, just click on
Master Record.
Yeah, Master Record if you can.
Can I post this one first? Because I think it'll affect our numbers. I want to show you something real quick.
Well, that's going to take it off of on order and put it into stock.
You know, on MotorTraxx right now, I have to do some double clicking, but I can go and say, okay, let me see all the POs for a particular item that's on order, and I may have, let's say, a total of 3 different POs for a total of 5 of those parts. Yep, then I have to hit. Sorry.
Parts on order. Right here.
But you're looking at parts on order for a particular repair order here. I think he wants to see. He wants to look at it from the part perspective. He'll look at a particular part, see how many different orders do I have this part on. Is that correct, Bill?
Correct. I want to see. I want to hit like I'm going to talk in MotorTraxx language. I want to hit F9 to see all the orders that have that part on it against F21 to see how many POs I have out there with the quantity of parts. Right. So I can.
Here it is. So in the part record itself, you have, if you click on stock, we have stock on hand, quantity on order. So theoretically, you know, I really wouldn't have an extra one to do on car number 4. And I can view my sales to see, oh, actually that's not closed yet. I can view my purchases to see what I've bought. but I also can view adjustments, right, Mark? This one?
Yes.
And this will tell me what ROs it's being held on.
Well, no. Well, yeah, that tells us exactly right.
Right here. Because it brings them in and out of stock. Now, I see what you're saying, Bill, but, I think I have to post them before these show up here, Mark. What do you think?
No, as you put a part onto a repair order, it takes it out of stock. You don't have to.
Right.
So that's one of the differences about MotorTraxx and MaxxTraxx. MotorTraxx, when you put a part on a repair order, it left it in stock, but it marked it as reserved.
Correct.
But that was confusing, and it always got out of synchronization, and people were always complaining about it. So in MaxxTraxx, what we do is when you put a part on a repair order, it's considered out of stock right then. If you take it back off the repair order and put it back in, if you delete it off the repair order, it goes back into stock. But as that part goes onto an open repair order, it is deleted from stock, and it goes onto that adjustments list that you just saw there, Sabrina.
Okay.
Sabrina, this is Keith. Real quick, can you add a part on a repair order without a labor? For instance, a guy comes in and buys a set of floor mats. How do you put those on without labor?
Parts counter. Click on the parts counter. It takes you to the blue screen. And this actually lets you do a cash invoice. I love this.
But he asked to do didn't you ask the question to do it on an existing RO?
Yeah, we've never used a parts counter part before. We always ran it through repair order just to keep a history on it.
But when he's buying it, he's not particularly buying it for that car, is he? He's buying it for just himself. He's just picking up a part, correct?
Well, let's say it ties to the car. Let's just say it's something that's no labor involved with it. If I'm not
what he's saying is, let's say they're doing an oil change, and you've got an existing service ticket, but now the guy wants to buy an antenna. But he's just going to hand the guy an antenna. There's no labor.
So you create.
Well, let's say he came by later and we didn't do any. There's no labor on there because I know you can tie any part to any labor. He just comes by and say, "Hey, I want to pick up this antenna you ordered for me a couple of weeks ago. Boom, we want to build it to that car."
It's going to become a workaround, and you just create a labor called parts.
Yeah, you create a labor called part sale.
Right. So you always have to have a labor to tie the parts to.
You do. That's
no big deal.
One thing. Yeah.
Okay.
On the service counter, you can still tie it on the parts counter. You can tie it to the customer, but you can't tie it to a vehicle. If you want to tie it to the vehicle, it has to be on the service counter.
Okay.
Right. It's
so then
very
how
similar
you
to
do
how
that is
MotorTraxx
you'd go through service counter and create that generic labor, like they were saying, because that would work perfect for our shop because what we specialize in is tires. And for, we can have guys in here with 6, 7 different cars.
Yeah.
And we want to tie the sale to those cars.
Right.
Okay.
Part only. I'm just going to do this.
Yes, you just create a labor called part sale or whatever you want to call it, and then you put everything underneath it.
Okay. Finish. Yes.
And I'm good with doing that. I'm just wondering why, because that is different from MotorTraxx.
Because of our structure of you can't, you have to actually have a labor. Yeah. It's not my absolute favorite, but, once you do it once, you never have to worry about it again. So if I'm just going to tie this one belt,
right,
you're good. Yes.
You could just call it parts only sale for this vehicle, right?
Yep.
And,
can you go back and delete a labor and leave the part only? Is that possible?
No.
Okay.
No.
Will it not allow you to do that?
Yeah, if I hit delete, it'll say you're about to permanently delete the following labor and any parts it has under it.
Gotcha. Okay. It's just a different way of thinking. Yeah.
If you want to keep the parts, you just slide them over to another labor and then delete the labor.
Gotcha.
You can just literally drag them, drop them.
Yeah. And, some people decide, some people do create a different labor for every single thing. They do a water pump. They do a labor for water pump. They change the belts. They do a different labor for the belts. They change, they maybe do a cooling system flush. They do a different labor, and they have the respective parts under each labor. Or you can just say, replace the water pump, replace belts, and perform a cooling system flush. And then just go, put all your parts under that one single labor that you've kind of just thrown everything under. It's really it's a personal preference. It's a style thing. It's really just however you want to use it for yourself. That make sense?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got kind of the, go ahead.
I was going to ask, I just had another question to ask, so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
On the parts, typically we're not able to order parts online with all those companies that you were saying. So is there, let's say during the day, can you run a report and see which parts that have been applied to an RO or a parts-only invoice that you need to order? So now in front of me I can have a piece of paper that says, okay, here's all the items I need to order, and create POs for them?
You know, the way you could do it is, remember, order parts, create new parts, order. Remember, if you knew, I got to get something from Merle's. If you click on the add line item, you can get that autofill from low stock parts. So, Bill, if you knew maybe which, one vendor you're going to order from, then these are all of these low stock parts. Now, some of them may be low stock because they're a stocking part that you're not at your minimum level, or they could be on an RO, which in MotorTraxx they have a little check mark because they're a short sale.
Right.
So, as far as another report, Mark, do we have?
Sabrina, yes, there is a report for that, but let me throw something out. Just because you're not ordering online doesn't mean you can't create the POs from the repair order. So let's say that you go ahead and you put those parts onto a repair order, and when you go to close out the repair order, save the repair order, it says, hey, these parts aren't in stock, you want to order them now, say yes, and it'll go ahead and it'll put them into a PO, and then you never have to send that PO. All you have to do at that point in time is print it out, fax it off to whoever you want to, or call somebody, and you're on your way. You don't have to use the online integration to create a PO. Does that answer?
And I can always add to that one particular PO. If I had 10 ROs, I could build my PO up during the day, and then, like you said, process it.
Yeah, what
that one
MaxxTraxx
company.
is exactly. MaxxTraxx is the online ordering and the whole PO generation thing is kind of like MotorTraxx on steroids. In MotorTraxx, you had to literally key it in 1, 2, or 3 times every time. In MaxxTraxx, you put the part on the RO, it will automatically create the PO whether you're going to send that off electronically or not. It doesn't matter. You don't have to retype that onto the PO again or the restock invoice.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Great question, Bill. Really good one. Okay, guys. So we've covered a lot today. I really hope you found this useful. The key really here is just to familiarize you guys with the kind of the workflow and with some of the highlights, some of the differences. And it is true. Of all the people I've trained, it is the MotorTraxx people, and it's me included, who hold so firmly onto, well, we did it this way in MotorTraxx. I mean, if I said that one more time to Rex, he'd probably get out of my face. I can't take this. So the big thing is really just to be open to all the different features and functions, and don't hesitate to call us the second that you're like I'm almost all the way through this practice, recreating this RO. Don't get frustrated. Give us a quick chat. We got this cool little chat feature. Do you want to see? Okay. Let me get out of here.
Sabrina, on the POs, when you receive the items, does MaxxTraxx, like MotorTraxx, works with first in, last out on the pricing, averages it out?
No, it averages it out.
Okay, and let's say you receive a part, but you just have the packing slip. You do not have the pricing. So you receive the part. Now you get the invoice 2 days later, and you go, oh, the price had gone up. Can you adjust the pricing to where it will readjust what's in inventory to the correct average, versus on MotorTraxx, I have to create a PO and remove all the product and re-put in the product at the corrected price, so now the average is correct.
Mark, can't I just adjust my base cost?
Well, you're not changing the base cost. You're now changing your last cost and the average that's going to be billed out on the particular ROs.
Sabrina, go to the, if you could, go to the a repair order for me, and highlight any part on a repair order, open it up, click on the profit button.
Of course, I did the wrong one.
Click on the profit button, and go down, double-click click on the profit button. Right there, it's got a place for you to actually override whatever cost it was before, and let's say the cost has changed. Now, Bill, what's going to happen is that you're almost never going to sell a part that you don't know what the cost is. If you call up and order it, you're probably going to get the cost. Even if you just jot it down on a notepad next to the computer, you're going to get the cost. This allows you to go ahead and change the cost on the fly without having gotten the restock invoice from the vendor.
Okay.
So that when you go ahead and close the repair order, you don't have to go back and go through that MotorTraxx dance you had to do before.
Well, actually, the MotorTraxx, yeah, the MotorTraxx, once you close it, I could have, now if I run a report for my profit, it may not be accurate because of the pricing not correct.
Yeah, in MotorTraxx, you were kind of locked in kryptonite at that point in time.
Correct.
You couldn't do anything. In MaxxTraxx, we allow you to change the cost on the part on the fly, even if you haven't taken that restock invoice in yet. It goes ahead and says, you know what, I know that when this restock invoice comes in, it's going to be $25. But it hasn't come in yet. It won't come in for 2 days. So I'm just going to write $25 right now. And MaxxTraxx now will use that as its profitability and its costing for you, even into the accounting. Now, preferably the best way to go in MaxxTraxx is to always restock before you close out the repair order. But once you've closed out the repair order, you know, and you take in a restock ticket in 2 or 3 days, that restock costing on that part is not going to go back to that repair order if that repair order has already been closed, because that's already done an accounting function, right? And so the only way to get it to come back is, the only way to get the right costing on it is to, as you write the repair order, go into this profit screen, tell it what it's going to cost, and then it does it exactly right.
Can you go into this profit screen once a repair order has been closed?
No, because it's already written the transaction. But the answer to that is also a yes, because you know you can open up any repair order. And I don't know if you've said this or not. Any repair order in MaxxTraxx. Let's say that you went ahead and you closed out this repair order and paid it. Then the restock invoice comes in a week later. You can then, if you want to, reopen this repair order, okay? And once the repair order is reopened, then restock the part and then close it again, and it'll get the cost.
And reopening it is voiding it like she did earlier.
Yep.
And correct whatever you need to correct, and then repay it again. Okay.
Exactly right. You're exactly right. Just make sure that when you do that, you then go into the profitability button there and make sure that it did truly come across.
Change it.
But and in fact, if you want to, just to be 100% sure, you just pull the part off the repair order, put it back on the repair order, and it would definitely pull the cost in from that late restock invoice that came in.
Okay.
And it's such a piece of cake, Bill. I would be the person to go right in my cash drawer 3 days later, void it, and then repost it. No big deal.
And I guess that's okay voiding it as long as you're not going into the deposit side, because then you would have the whole problem of if you void it, then your deposit's going to get voided. So then you have to remember to redo all those steps.
You got to step your way back. Yes.
It's not a big deal, but it is this fast. You go in your banking, you go into your check register, you find that deposit right here. I was going to void it, and it was on the 14th. It's not a big deal. And then I just close it. Now I could go into my daily sales, open it up 3 days ago, or whatever the date was that I chose. Then I would void it, put it back on the service counter. I mean, this is really how fast this is, and it's not because I know how to do this. It's this fast. You go in. You have to actually right-click. A little tricky thing you guys will need to know. You actually right-click, change your status to anything other than complete, anything. And then you just would go in and change your price. And I would just actually, and this is perfect, 1082, and I don't think I have a cost. I don't. So now I put in my cost of $567 or whatever, just a fake one, and redo it. So pay it.
Now, can you correct the date? I mean, let's say now it was really done on the 9th. Yep, but today's the 14th. Can I make sure? Okay, just like that. Yeah.
And I'll tell you how many times have I gone through that whole process, and then what I do, I post it back on the wrong bleeding date.
And then just like MotorTraxx, you can apply. Let's say the guy wants to pay by cash and Visa. Yeah. You apply. You just keep going.
Yep, and we do a little bit of Visa. How many of you guys have had this? Well, try to run this for $100. Whew, that made it. Okay, let's try now my MasterCard for the rest.
Okay.
Whew, that made it. And then let's say, oh, shoot, the MasterCard didn't go through. You just
now, unlike MotorTraxx, can you do a credit? use credit and
Yep.
a form of payment
Right
on
here.
a AR transaction?
Yep. Credit used.
Okay, no,
Yep.
on an AR transaction.
Sure. Yeah, on an AR too.
Because,
Let's
on
say
MotorTraxx you can't.
yep, this you can. You can
Okay.
do, yeah,
So
absolutely.
this is the repair order that you're closing.
Yep, this is a
But
repair
let's say you
order.
closed it and you put it on AR.
Okay, let's
And
do
now
that.
you receive the check a month later.
Yep.
And you also
No
have
credit
credit
in
for
it.
that customer.
Yeah. Let's do it. This is, who's it under? Jonathan Altman. Okay, finish. No. Close that for a moment. So let's go under customer search. This is where you do your ARs, just under customer search. Not very obvious. Wasn't for me anyway. So here I have my balance too. If I had credit on here for this guy, let's give him a credit. Let's do a quick credit. Just, I don't know, Goodwill.
Just do a
Really
deposit
nice.
on account.
Oh, I could. Yeah, let's say,
Yeah,
sure.
it's much easier. You don't have to fool with a general ledger at that point in time. Just choose
Yeah.
deposit on account.
That's $100 on cash. Perfect. And no receipt. You can get a receipt if you want. So then, yeah, I would just go to pay that, tag it, and it says right here, credit available, $100. So let's say
Okay.
I'm going to, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you're going to use the $100, and then he's going to pay the $12.35 in cash. You can do all that in one transaction.
Sure can. $100. Next, and then let's say AR payment.
So you're doing it in 2 steps.
Oh, wait a minute. That could be me though. I'm not going to edit. I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to pay it.
Yeah. Just
And
just do that.
Next, and I'm going to do credit of $100. I'm going to use this credit. Thank you very much. And then he's going to pay the rest.
You also have that button up the top there, Sabrina,
Oh, right.
next to the credit.
Yep.
You want to
Use
use full
credit
amount.
for payment. Yeah.
Okay.
Either one.
I
But
see,
yeah,
it's the same screen as an open one. See, and you can't
Yeah.
do that in MotorTraxx.
correct.
I have to do it in 2 steps.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And now you don't have to. Now you've got the flexibility of using the credit and cash at the same time.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
These guys thought of everything, just about. Yep, so that's done, and you can print a receipt. You can always go back and print a receipt if you posted a week ago, too. I mean, there's a lot of great features that way. There's so much in here, guys. The thing is that get in here, try it out, and then just try to force yourself to go back once a month or once every 3 months and start playing around with it, or watch another video, because there's so much to look at, so much to see. You can't absorb it all in the beginning, and that certainly was my approach, and I can't do it either. And I think that's probably, and I'm going back to, I'm preaching in this about the practice version, because the practice version gives you an opportunity to mess with all that stuff, play with it. You don't have to worry about, am I going to mess up my accounting or mess up my, okay, maybe that's just me, but mess up my inventory or put in fake information. Where a practice version, if you use it for a couple days, couple weeks, couple months, whatever you're comfortable with, it lets you, go in there and really dig stuff out and learn how you want to set things up. So one last thing, the little support chat, you just can click on the support chat, and this actually will go out and we'll chat with somebody. Let's see who's working here, guys. So, I know, someday I need to learn how to type. Okay. Oops, I'm bad. So what happens is this will pop up, and then one of our text guys will say, now we're chatting with Rex, and I'm going to say, hi, Rex, and ask my question. So if you have a question, this lets you ask that. It's my boss talking to me. This is really going to help you guys move to the next step without thinking, gosh, I'm stuck, forget it, I'm just not going to deal with this. So I think what's really nice about this feature is it lets you, ask the question on the fly and don't hesitate. And usually if you can just get on to the next thing, you're free to go again. Easy to rock and roll. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's webinar. We have had a fabulous crew today. Appreciate the questions. Please meet with us next week for the accounting review. And even if you don't do the accounting and you just do the daily sales and cash store report, we're going to be going over these details. And there are some significant changes between here and MotorTraxx, and I'll be able to share with you a few more funny stories of what I did in the accounting. arena that Rhonda sure got a kick out of with me. So please do join us for that. And if you guys do have any questions that came up today or come up if you guys are on the online demo or on a practice version, email them to me. I'll talk to you one-on-one, or we'll bring them up in the next webinar. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.